It seems there is no easy victory, especially if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan. And I I know this team's on a 5-game winning streak. You're coming off the bye. You get a big time win over the Arizona Cardinals, who look like they were coming to life. I get it, but I mean, it's just, I was talking to my wife about it today. There's just no easy wins when you're a Vikings fan. But hey, you celebrate them when you got them, and yes, you're happy about it, I guess. I mean, you just. I mean, yes, you got to go with it. You got to go with the love for this team, because if you didn't laugh, you cry, enter all the cliche sayings you have to say about it. But after a win like this, we're gonna be upbeat. We're gonna be happy about it. So in our latest edition of Standouts and Fizzouts, because everybody's got their own versions of winners, losers, risers, fallers, or ours is Standouts and Fizzouts because pop, yes, pop. We think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. We think it should replace all water, and it's our own little touch on it. So when you talk about standouts for the Vikings in this one, actually we'll go the back route around this one. We'll talk about the Cardinals first. The Cardinals really had the Vikings on the ropes on a lot of these different plays, on pretty much throughout the entire game, even though despite the fact that the Vikings really were acting like they were trying to lose this one. It just, I don't know, it was kind of wild. But overall, the Cardinals, you cannot start by talking about the Cardinals without talking about DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, 12 catches. Let's try that again. 12 catches, 159 yards, and a touchdown. Kyler Murray, he was really, honestly, just a security blanket. Continues to be the best, or at least one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL. The run game really wasn't there for the Cardinals today, so DeAndre Hopkins really had to put the passing game on his back. Another standout, Rondale Moore, 7 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Had that touchdown that really kept the Cardinals into it. He was fast. He was elusive. He's Percy Harvin 2.0. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. He's an absolute stud, and they need to get him the football a lot more. Zach Ertz, 4 catches, 34 yards in that touchdown. I know Kyler and him, we'll get to Kyler in a second. I know Kyler and him had that miscommunication on, I think it was that curl route. I think he was supposed to come a little bit taller, like the commentators were saying, but it is what it is. You just kind of hope that he does continue to learn from it, and that him and Kyler get on the same page. Defensively, Isaiah Simmons had that huge strip sack on Ed Ingram. It was everybody basically owned Ed Ingram today for the Vikings. We'll get to them in a second, and Ed Ingram. But DJ Watt, couple of sacks, another standout there. Honestly, the second half rush defense really clamped it down. That was honestly, it was a fizz out for us in total, on the totality of things, because you had Alexander Mattison at 808 yards per carry. You had Dalvin Cook, who had 20 carries for 111 yards. Again, we'll get into them in a second. But overall, this run defense for the Cardinals wasn't great. But you are excited and very happy to see the pass rushers get after it all day long against the Vikings, specifically going after Ed Ingram. I love to see it from the Cardinals, identifying the weak spot and going after it. Also, Matt Prater did some nice things for him there. Had a couple of nice kicks there to keep them getting points on the board for the Cardinals. But as far as that and the rest of the standouts, I believe that was it. Also, Budda Baker just continues to be a playmaker. 10 total tackles on the night. Jalen Thompson, I believe it was Byron Murphy that was mainly on Justin Jefferson, and honestly, by Justin Jefferson's standards, it was a relatively quiet night for them. So the secondary was actually pretty respectable. Losers or fizzouts, excuse me. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, to me, is going to be the biggest. He's either going to be the main reason why you win it or the main reason why you lose it. Had a couple of interceptions. One of them was just basically a 500 ball. Did you guys play that game growing up? 500, just throw it straight up in the air and basically see who could catch it. Yes, that's basically what happened on that Harrison Smith interception. The Cameron Bynum one, again, that miscommunication with Zach Ertz, and we covered it. But overall, 31 of 44, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I really would have liked to see the Cardinals really use him a lot more. You talk about Cliff Kingsbury, really some of the play calling, some of the different things that their offense had to kind of go through. You really want to see him get more designed runs. Also, the running game definitely fizz out for me. I really felt like that needs to get a lot better for the Cardinals if they're going to do some serious damage moving forward. Other fizz outs. Benjamin, excuse me. That what was it that defenseless player hit he had later in the quarter there. I think it was like on that last drive. Cameron Dantzler, excuse me. It just, I don't know necessarily the way to go about it, but I feel like from a coaching perspective, You have to be aware from that, and obviously the commentators touched on it, but you got to be way more self-aware in that situation. The Cardinals' offensive line, the Vikings were able to shut down the run, really were putting a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray, who was under duress for a large portion of the evening, or the morning. Let's try that again. But, he really wasn't in his natural element. He did have a relatively respectable game, but it was the fact that he was constantly under pressure. They weren't able to run the football, and Kyler Murray, really there was the fact of the Vikings defense holding their breath to see if he would get out of the pocket, and that's really what it came down to a lot of the time. And then, yes, you talk about other fizzouts, the run defense, we covered it. Kyler Murray, yes, and I really felt like, honestly, the Cardinals, they really punched above their weight in this one. Like, yes, the run defense struggled, but there was a lot of makeups for it. You had constant pressure on Kirk Cousins. The defensive line got after it in a lot of different ways. You love to see it, but overall, this Cardinals team is just, from a play calling perspective, from the defensive run stopping, it really was a rough game for Arizona. As far as the Vikings, you got to start with talking about Kirk Cousins when you're talking about standouts. Yes, he didn't throw for 400. It wasn't for a touchdown, 0 interception type game. It was 24 of 36, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Then you had Dalvin Cook, who 20 carries, 111 yards, and a touchdown. You had him, Alexander Mattison, and Kirk Cousins all able to run the football. All had, 170 all-purpose yards in terms of running the football, 173 rushing yards on the day for the Vikings, and 3 touchdowns. You got to give it up to the run blocking of the offensive line for the Vikings, absolutely. But the pass blocking, awful. We'll get into that in a second. But another standout, Justin Jefferson. Yes, quiet day by his standards, but a quiet day on Justin Jefferson's standards is a good day for most wide receivers, so we'll give him the pass here. 6 catches, 98 yards, and you could see when they were starting to incorporate him, he really was that dude, so you love to see it there. I'll let you guys come see this. So, yes, Adam Thielen, 6 catches, 67 yards, really was that security blanket, the role that KJ Osborne that has had, we've seen in the past. That definitely went to Adam Thielen today. Had that go around, that really long, it seems like he was doing, what was it, I can't even remember the dance, the loop-de-loop, whatever. My wife made fun of it, and bring it around town. Yes, the SpongeBob quotes, all of that. But Adam Thielen really had himself a really good day and found a way to really provide a spark to that Vikings offense and a sense of comfortability, a sense of stability that the Vikings offense needed when they needed to get the ball out. Dalvin Cook, another 30 yards on 5 catches, over 140 yards on the day. You love to see it from Dalvin Cook. He just continues to set the tone there. Irv Smith Jr., it is what it is at this point. I'm just happy that he caught passes. KJ Osborne, 2 catches, 8 yards, and a touchdown. I believe he had that one kind of it was a really high pass that it really was kind of one of those things where it just, you really can't fault him for that. He tried to come down with it, didn't happen. Johnny Munt had a holding penalty, but he also had a touchdown, so you got to give him the pass. Great job by Johnny Munt, continuing to do the dirty work for the Vikings, and you love to see it. Defensively, Cameron Dantzler, definitely another standout for me. I mean, you just talk about, yes, I know Nuke Hopkins went off for 12, a $158 and a touchdown. I don't care. Cameron Dantzler wasn't on him for most of those man-on-man situations. He held his own, in my opinion. I thought he really did have himself a good game. Za'Darius Smith, 3 sacks, man. He just continues to bring it for the Vikings defensive line, even though when guys, like Danielle Hunter, even when guys up the middle can't bring it, DJ Wanham, they can't quite get there. Za'Darius Smith, he's just old but faithful. On the day that Jared Allen was inducted in the Vikings Ring of Honor, you love to see it. But overall, yes, Jordan Hicks also had himself a good game, as well as Eric Kendrick. Those 2 guys really leading the way there. In the middle of the field, going after it and able to make it happen. Jordan Hicks made that key stop on 4th and 4. Just, you love to see it against his former team. Harrison Smith, 6 tackles, that pick, yes, and yes. Patrick Peterson, 4 total tackles on the day, but he did have a lot of pass breakups, and I think he had a couple of penalties that I don't necessarily know if I agree with, but it is what it is at this point. Harrison Phillips also added that sack, credited with that sack at the end of the game, but you can tell when a guy like Delvin Tomlinson went out, it was a little easier for the Cardinals to run the football, but overall, the Vikings defensive line did a very good job, and the linebacker. The defense really, to me, I know, yes, they did have to go out and win the football game, but it is what it is at this point. Cameron Bynum also had an interception. You love to see it, continuing to do his things. He just continues to impress me the more and more he's on the field. Special teams for the Vikings, I believe it was Chris Boyd who had that initial hit on Greg Dortch, who was going to return that punt, and then it was Troy Dye who ended up coming up with the recovery. Kenny Nwangu also made it in on that play. You love to see the Vikings special teams just continue to make plays. Also, Shondon Sullivan run, made that huge tackle on Nuke Hopkins, kept him in bounds when the clock was running there late in the game on that last drive there. Nice job by Sean Sullivan today. Honestly, this entire team, they just continue to show that they, do have that resiliency that you love to see from a team that has a first-year head coach and maybe looking to do some damage. Also, fizzouts. You can't talk about the Vikings without talking about fizzouts. Starting with it, the Vikings offensive line, except Christian Darrisaw. Like the run blocking was great. I thought they did a fantastic job the entire game. Pass blocking, Ed Ingram got his lunch ate the entire day. It just was rough. It was just rough to see him just get manhandled by J.J. Watt. Isaiah Simmons had that strip sack on him too. I know that he's a rookie. I know that he's going through his lumps and everything, but it hurts. It hurts to watch it go through because you love to watch Ed Ingram continue to be in there because we've seen a lot worse. But Ed Ingram, it was absolutely rough. And then you also talk about Greg Joseph. I think it was that field goal right before the end of the half. He missed that. Also missed that extra point to make it a 2-possession game for the Vikings. It's frustrating. I don't know what the Vikings need to do, but they need to do something just to bring in somebody or do something because it was rough. It was absolutely rough. You hope that they bring in some competition or at least try somebody out. I don't know. I don't care. Just get somebody in there just to let Greg Joseph know that that ain't it. That ain't it. He's got to do a lot better and continue to be that, especially if he's going to be the kicker for the Vikings. So as far as other fizzouts, that defense play calling by Ed Donatel, sometimes it's cringeworthy. Yes, it's a bend but don't break defense. I don't care. Can we stop them? Just plain out stop them and force them to punt at certain times. It would be a lot nicer than having to deal with what we have to deal with. So, that defense play calling by, almost forgot the name there, Kevin O'Connell. I just really feel like Kevin O'Connell, he really took the foot off the gas in key spots here. You can't do that, especially we've seen what Mike Zimmer and company had done in the past. You cannot be complacent. You cannot take your foot off the gas, especially in the game if you want to win it. So overall, yes, you're excited that the Vikings were able to come out with the win with this one, but there's a lot to get better on. There's a lot to do if you're the Vikings, and I think that they're going to continue to make those strides. And we do see it here in certain aspects with this team. This special teams unit really does continue to be a huge difference maker for this team, and they're able to run the football, do a lot of different things, but overall, you do wonder if they will be able to continue to climb that ladder and continue to get better. But that's it. That's our edition of Standouts and Fizzouts. Again, standouts, players that stood out in Fizzouts because pop. We love all pop. We think it should replace all water. No question about it. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Let us know what kind of pop you guys drink in the comment section below. Also, remember to give us a like and a follow and a sub, as well as remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. We'd greatly appreciate that. Give us a follow on all our social media. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about our latest edition of Standouts and Fizzouts for the Minnesota Vikings versus Arizona Cardinals matchup.